this week. Let's take a look now in a bit more depth into what is in the front pages this morning. Bill Bowkett joins us from Young Voices UK. Bill, good morning.
Morning to you, Anna.
Now, a lot of front pages leading with the strike action at Times. This detail about teachers and doctors threatening to join strikes. This would be a wider worry if indeed strike action did become more widespread, wouldn't it?
It would indeed, and it seems that Tory ministers aren't holding back in their criticism of what they see as militant trade unionists from going ahead with their strike action. You've also got a quite startling statistic also on the front page of the Daily Telegraph saying that if these strike actions were to go ahead, at least with the R&T, it could knock off 0.3 to 0.4% of GDP for the month of June. But of course, it's going to cause destruction across the entire country for key workers that are unable to travel to work. Misery, of course, for children having to undergo their exams, hospital patients having to go for regular appointments, and generally eroding a network that has been unable to recover, at least in terms of passenger numbers, since the coronavirus pandemic hit this country nearly 2 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, we're looking closely at what is happening this week in terms of the railways. But, there is this wider picture, isn't there? Because, I mean, teachers are saying that they want pay rises of up to 12%. Nurses are demanding a 5% above inflation. Of course, we're going to hear more about inflation later this week, see if it hits double figures. It's a very difficult time. We're in the cost of living crisis. So in some respects, there are questions to be asked about, pay not keeping up with inflation. But what can the government do if it's not getting around the table to talk with the unions at the moment?
Well, there's that emergency legislation, which is primary legislation, and it would probably not come into place until even before the summer recess happens in July. That would bring forward agency workers to fill in those gaps of people that would be off on strike action. Of course, the long-term solution to this is to deal with the hike of inflation and bring it in line with wages. There's an understanding among Downing Street that we are in unprecedented times with the cost of living crisis, heightened by the war in Ukraine, and also have been coming out of the pandemic. But yes, I think that is the real question as to what is the solutions. And the problem in many of these sectors, especially around teaching, is that many ministers have been floating the idea of pay increases for quite some time. You had Nadhim Zahawi, the education secretary, floating the idea of a 3% increase for teachers who have been on the front line during the pandemic in teaching children. But the Treasury is desperate to keep public finances, public spending, and also public sector pay in check.
Yeah, I mean, The Guardian's headline is anger as ministers refuse to join last-ditch effort to halt rail strikes. The Sun's gone with a big headline of "We regret to announce that this country is returning to the 1970s." Bill, do you think it is returning to the 1970s, realistically?
I'm not sure if it necessarily is a return to the 1970s. I think at the time unions were able to kind of hold the guard in all aspects of life and were very much powerful. And then obviously you saw Margaret Thatcher's different legislations come forward to limit the power of the unions. But it's the soft power they exert in this instance. It's about obviously for them, it's about pay and working conditions. And it feels as though it's what the majority of union workers are feeling at this moment's time. But the thing is that in many of these sectors is that especially around rail works, is that they've received over 16 billion in pandemic assistance, and we haven't seen this level of state expansion for quite some time. So I obviously it's a quite grim to think about what impact this could have, both economically and also politically moving forward. And also having, interestingly, stood the Labour Party in quite a tenuous position and having to take what their stance is on the matter. But I think to compare to what has happened in the 1970s, it's slightly far-fetched in my opinion.
Okay, just before we let you go, just want to touch on one other story. We are going to talk about this more in Early Breakfast before 6 o'clock, but front page of the Times, British Army must be fighting fit for Russia. This is General Sir Patrick Sanders, the new head of the British Army, warning that we must be prepared to fight a land battle with Russia if it came to that. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, it is a frightening prospect, really.
It is, and I don't think there's any suggestion, I think, from this memo that is splashed on the front page of the Times that it means that British soldiers are going to start fighting on the front line and in the Donbass in Ukraine's fight for freedom. But what it is really is a call to arms, really, for an increase or an understanding, at least, of the British Army land capability, because as what you've seen, at least over the last decade, is that defence spending, while it has been increasing, and we've seen much more investment in terms of military spending since Russia invaded Ukraine, but the army has been cut by 9,000 to about 75,000. And obviously, while there have been other measures to kind of deter further aggression in Ukraine by giving humanitarian aid to Ukrainians, to Volodymyr Zelensky, and donating weaponry, really there has to be that safeguard, at least in numbers, should the worst come.
Okay, great to talk to you this morning. Bill Bowkett from Young Voices UK joining us to give us some analysis on what's in the front pages of the newspapers this morning. Now,